Dinnie, and hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Dinnie Vision. I am your host, Dinnie, in Virginia. Where am I, you might ask? Well, I'm here in Suffolk, Virginia at Sleepy Hole Park. I'm going to show you guys the sign because I'm notorious for just loving to get the first entrance sign of parks, even though it's usually at a very inconvenient spot. So without further ado, let me prove to you that I actually am where I say I am. Dun, 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 dun. Now, the sign admittedly could use some love, it could use some touching up, it could use some cleaning up, but here we are in Suffolk, Virginia at Sleepy Hole Park. Like I said, I love getting pictures of the sign, even though it's like typically at a very inconvenient location, but that's just a thing that I like to do to start off my adventures. So without further ado, I just want to let you guys know that there's about 3 different areas that I want to show you guys in this park. God willing, I can get myself together to show it to you in a concise manner and not just all over the place. But if my memory serves me correctly, we're about to go to the first part, which is when you first get in here, there's a little like foresty nature walk type area. There's also a rooster apparently. There's also, the second section is like the park slash wide open space slash garden area, and then the last section has just a bunch of paved walking loop that you can go to, as well as the fishing pier, and a couple of like sports ball type stuff. So I will show you guys those 3 prayerfully. I can give you guys a good look. However, I think there are quite a few people here today, even though it's a bit of a gray day, but I hope you guys enjoy. Without further ado, let's jump into it at Suffolk in Sleepy Hole Park. Okay, so we're starting off at this front spot. So that is the entrance where you come in. As you can see, this is the very first pull-off area that you can get to at Sleepy Hole Park. Very small, very nice quaint area right here. But this is where you're gonna get that, like, I don't actually know what this building is. I guess this is like the headquarters for the Parks and Rec to do their stuff with. I don't think the public has access to this building, but I could be wrong. I don't know, but I've never been in there. But as you can see, this is kind of the, like, if you want to kind of low-key feel like you're like rugged and in nature and like it's not man-made at all, but it totally is, and more of a rougher terrain, this is the park for you. I'm going to show you this one area that I think would be super spooky, to tell like stories, like scary stories. Like, I opened up the pantry and there were no Doritos. Ah! However, it does seem a bit dangerous, to be honest. And that was like a couple years back when I came here, when I first saw it. But it's still like a creepy looking stage. Oh my gosh, it got even more dangerous. I think, a tree fell and broke one of the benches. But as you can see, this is the little stage area. Could definitely use a lot of work. But would be cool to put on a little performance here and have all your friends and family come out and see your little performance. But like I said, this area right now, not the safest looking. So probably don't do that until it gets a little bit safer. See if I can make it to the stage itself to give you guys a POV from the stage. So it's easy to get to the stage at least. And you have that little walkie thing. I'm just going to walk right up here. So yeah, this is pretty cool. So if you want to practice your public speaking, or maybe you want to put on a play of some sort, they got this cool little stage over here. Do not get close to the edge. There's no railing to protect you from falling down there. It's about 3.5 feet down there, so please don't go near the edge. But yeah, as you can see, this is your viewpoint from being on the stage itself. I think that's pretty cool. But like I said, looking a little dangerous right now. A tree did fall and like completely break one of the benches, but even before then, it just doesn't look the safest. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It doesn't look the safest. But it's an option, you know? If you like to practice your public speaking, great location for you. Well, maybe not great, but a location for you. Anyway, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to show you guys a little bit more of the walking trail. But as you can see, very foresty, it's a rougher cut than the rest of the park that I'll show you later. Okay, so now we are on the trail. Now the thing is, there's no map. I think it might be a big loop, but I'm not sure. So there's no map, so we're at the fork that is at the very beginning of the trail. So you can either go right or left. I think I've always gone left, so I don't know what's on the right hand side, but so we're gonna go left today. But maybe it's a big loop, I don't know. There's no map telling you like, what adventure am I in for today? Where am I going? How do I get there? So it's kind of like, it's a surprise. If you know that meme, you know. But it's kind of a surprise because, like I said, I've never been to the right-hand side personally. So we're just gonna continue with what I know because it is too overcast of a day to do something strange. So like I said, as you can see, it's a bit of a rougher terrain here. Luckily, I have hiking boots that I did not pay for because they are very expensive, but it just rained, so definitely would not recommend coming to this park like right after heavy rainfall because everything is wet and mushy and not comfortable. And so if you don't have the proper shoes, it's not the funnest time. Definitely a lot better when it's drier. The rain is good. I love the rain. Rain is fantastic. Just not the best for coming to this particular park. Although, honestly, the conditions for walking are better than I thought. I forgot that it was actually paved here. I thought it was all gravel. But it is paved, so that's nice. But like I said, it did just rain. So, where I live in Virginia, a lot of flooding happens. So you can see water pools up very easily, which is not a big deal. But it's just something to be aware of. So like I said, if there's been heavy rainfall, I would not recommend personally coming out to this park like I am doing right now. But I have free time and it's my day off. So I'm like, why not explore with you guys? Okay, so you can see part of the problem, the flooding that I was talking about, that happens when it rains. That kind of, you gotta kind of walk around it, or work around it rather, as a result. So hopefully you can see what I am seeing, but there's a giant puddle, like covering the entire expanse of the paved path that we have here. And so have to avoid this entire puddle because it rained pretty heavily recently. But that's okay. Like I said, I wore the proper shoes today, so prayerfully I don't sink into all of this stuff. As you can see, there's a men and women's bathroom here. It does scare me. Have I been in there? No, because it does look very scary to me. But me, personally, that's just a me thing because I get creeped out very easily. But you gotta admit, I've seen horror movies back in the day, not anymore, because I am a woman of Christ and I can't handle that. But nowadays, I would not go in there, you know? I think I've gained enough life knowledge to just be like, let me be very cautious. Unless it is an absolute emergency. Me personally, not going into this restroom because it's a little creepy. But one thing that's cool, there's this wide open space over here. I don't know if this is part of, there's a golf course. I'm gonna show you guys way over there. That's a golf course over there. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, or if this is, maybe there's disc golf here as well. I know there's disc golf at Bennett Creek Park, but as you can see, there's a lot of random wide open spaces over here. But I'm gonna turn the camera off and navigate getting around all this wet stuff, and I'll probably stop showing you stuff here, but we shall see. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so this next section I'm about to show you, I need for you guys to have some grace. So have some grace, okay? I need you to keep in mind that it is February, which is winter, like the peak of winter for us here in VA. Okay, so have some grace. Come back in the spring and the summer, it'll be gorgeous. But right now, have some grace. So I present to you, this is the garden section. This is the next section that has the garden, the playground, the wide open area, and the shelters. So you can come over here. Honestly, the parking lot, not the biggest in the world, but like you can make it work. And this garden is sponsored by Suffolk Master Gardeners Association. They do a great job around Suffolk. I've seen many a cute garden by them. But like I said, it is February, so I'm going to show you guys. We're going to go in, and as you can see, everything is dead. That's okay, because everything's going to be so beautiful and come back to life. They're going to add some new stuff. It's going to be fantastic in the spring. But right now, it's not spring. Right now, it's February. It's winter. Stuff is dead. Like, duh. But, actually, I don't even remember this part. So this is going to be exciting to see in the spring. But yeah, ordinarily in the spring, this place is super cute, super nice. That's a really good place to take pictures of, bring your kids to take pictures in the spring, because it's a super cute seat and it's really small for the kiddos. But yeah, so have some grace. I'm just letting you know, come back in the spring. Just trust me. Come back in the spring and the summer, and you're going to have a much better time over here at the garden. But now let's go over here and show you guys a little bit of the children's playground as well as the shelters. 10-minute load, unload only, park and walk. I don't know what that means. I never hosted anything here. We usually go to Portsmouth City Park if we have a family reunion or something, or a get together at a park. So I guess maybe you can't just stay at the parking lot. I don't know. As you can see, they have a restroom over here, and it is nicer. Also, my battery is dying, so I gotta wrap this up because I have one more place to show you guys, but it's a pretty standard park situation. As you can see, pretty standard playground, several shelters, mid-sized. So you've seen shelters, you've seen playgrounds before. Same old, same old. So I'm gonna show you guys the next area, and then we're gonna wrap it up for the day. Okay, y'all, so I don't know if I'm gonna walk out here or not, but this is another small area that I do like to walk to typically, but I'm very cold, so I wanna go home. But I do like this area right here. Hopefully you can see because I'm driving, I'm not looking at you, but it's a really cute little water area. But as you can see from the playground, you kind of just have to drive in to get to the next part, and this is where the golf course is as well. Speed limit super slow, and here we are at the next part. Okay guys, so this is the last area I'm going to show you guys. Now this thing right here is pretty new. At least I feel like within the last year they've put this here, because I've never seen a kayak rental here at Sleepy Hole Park. But this is the last section. As you can see, really good walking area. So if you want to get your walk on a nice paved, smooth, no elevation path, this is fantastic for you. The parking situation, not great, guys. Very limited parking here, not gonna lie. A lot of wide open space, but I would say very limited parking. So just be aware of that, because that's something that I'm very aware of. But yeah, you could actually apparently rent a kayak. Who knew? Like, guys, so many things to discover here in the great state of VA. Anyway, like I said, really good location to just walk, because there's just this whole circuit right here. You just walk the circuit, and it turns out there are a couple of trail maps here. They're just in very inconvenient locations. I was like, why did you put the map here of all places? As you can see, this is one of the bigger shelters that they have over here, but again, parking is very limited. So for me, I need a bit more parking situation to want to host a bigger thing here. But there's also horseshoes over there, and once again, come back in the spring, people, because it's a lot prettier. But I'm going to show you this one last area that I think is worth it. It's still going to be pretty, but very, very cold today, and that is the fishing pier. If you're a history buff, you can learn a little bit about some of the history stuff when it comes to John Smith's historic voyage routes. So that's really cool, especially for the 250th anniversary of America. So you can get your little history on. See, Sleepy Hole Park rules. Here's the fishing pier. Typically, what I like to do, I like to take a walk over here. Like I said, a lot prettier in the spring. But as you can see, still quite pretty out here on the pier. But very gray, very windy, and I think the tide is high. So I understand why people wouldn't fish here, and I don't think I'm gonna go all the way to the end because that water is looking pretty darn too high for me personally. But look at this, man. Once again, you guys, this is the stuff that I just love living here in VA. Where I live in Hampton Roads is that I have water accessibility like everywhere because I live in Tidewater, and it's just fantastic. And I do not take it for granted that I do have water everywhere, because not everybody has the ability to get to some type of body of water regularly. So if you live in Hampton Roads, you are blessed. Count your blessings, people. Like I said, I'm probably not going to go over there because how close the water is does scare me a little bit. But, as you can see right there, pretty long pier. This is one of the longer piers I've seen at parks here. But yeah, that's it for you guys. It's a pretty windy day, pretty gray day, but it's still a blessed day. Today is still the day the Lord has made, and that's awesome because I am rejoicing in it. So that is all I have for you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day. I hope you enjoy this little adventure at Sleepy Hollow Park in Suffolk, VA. Again, I didn't give you guys the full tour, but I definitely need to come back when the weather is better, because it's just giving you guys the full tour now wouldn't really do this park justice. So have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day, and until next time, Dinnie out. That's the end of the Dinnie vision here at Suffolk. No, Sleepy Hollow Park. I don't remember exactly where I am, but still it's technically Suffolk, VA. Yay! If you enjoy this content and you would like to support the Virginnie Adventures, the Dinnie and Virginnie Adventures that is, please head on over to my Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Dinnie and Virginnie. And you can support there by buying me as many coffees as you like. I can take a lot of caffeine because I like to stay caffeinated so that I can keep doing what I do, exploring the great state of VA.